Hello, Cancer. Great to have you here. My name is Shauna. Today's reading is a general love forecast for November 2025. As always, take the messages that resonate and release anything that doesn't. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay connected with upcoming readings. Let's see what's headed your way, Cancer. And there are a few things that are, scattered across different sectors of your life. And so I'm going to go into some overall messages that came through when I was shuffling out the spread, and then we'll go into the spread. I feel for some of you, especially for those of you who are a little bit worried about your financial situation, there will be part-time work contracts that are coming through, is what I'm getting. And that basically means that, work that might be very part-time, it might be very seasonal, it might also be very temporary. And so I feel like some of you might literally just get a work contract and you're just like, you're looking for a full-time job, you're looking for more financial stability. But I feel like the jobs that are coming through are short-term, and so you sign a contract and there's a definite term limit, like time limit. And so they're really urging you to look into temp agencies, look into, expanding outside of your usual types of work in order to land something that might be very financially lucrative. So I feel like some of you might need to piece together a few jobs, like, 2 or 3 that you really enjoy doing to break up the monotony of, the work environment, so that you're not feeling like you're trapped in one thing, and that you can also develop more skills as well. So that's really important, especially for those of you who are you feel a little bit pigeonholed into one type of work and you feel like it's really hard for you to break out. So I feel like the traditional 9 to 5 route for you might not be appropriate. And so they're telling you to branch into other options, and especially looking into temporary gigs so that you can either dabble in it on the side or do something like a few part-time things in order to piece together a wholesome job. Okay, so that's going to be really important for those of you who are looking. I'm getting the message here regarding, this is a very, very important love month. Okay, so the love month basically indicates overcoming challenges in love relationships, identifying relationship patterns that might have kept us in a cyclical pattern, might have kept us in a holding cell, breaking out of those things so that we can become very, very purposeful when it comes to identifying what we want, what we value, and not straying from, averting, obstacles in relationships so that you can figure out how to be a good relationship partner. So I do see this is a month where a lot of inner work is happening from your end. And a lot of it has to do with how you communicate, how other people are perceiving you, and not bending yourself and blending into the environment, like not being a social chameleon, but really standing up for your own truths and the things that you value and the things that you believe in. So there will be social pressure coming through to force you to behave a specific way to fit into this mold that, your social group, your professional circle has of you. And so doing something that is basically following in other people's footsteps, doing something that is socially expected of you, is not going to be beneficial for you this month. It's really important to really, verbalize what you feel is important and to stand up for what you believe is the truth, okay? So having said that, let's go into your reading here. The first thing I'm feeling here is this is a month that is very heavily oriented towards communication. And in your communication sector, we have here the Emperor. And this is an authority figure in some of your work environment, for those of you dealing with this, who is a little bit bullish, quite difficult to deal with, very perfectionistic, and wants a specific thing done a very specific way. So this is somebody who's very like, I want to say like almost like OCD, like obsessive compulsive, when it comes to having things done his or her specific way. And I feel like you're coming to a head with this person where you don't agree on the same things. You might have a lot of creative differences, but this is somebody who is in a position of power. So they might have some control over your work processes. They might want you to do something that they feel has to be done this way. And so in your communication, you're not innately a confrontational sign. And so when conflict happens, I feel like you're very conflict averse. You're very conflict avoidant as well. And so I don't feel you're standing up for yourself properly, and I don't feel that you're communicating in a manner to allow your own truths to shine. So that's very important coming in for this month, okay? A lot of the times, and I'm looking at this card in your communication and also this in your work sector, where your creative energy is being stifled by an overwhelming and an overpowering authority figure in your work environment. And I feel like there are a lot of people in the work environment that made things difficult, and they might have been just, just a little bit more cutthroat, very assertive and almost aggressive. And you don't want conflict. So the way that you communicate, it's more like erring on the side of damage control, erring on the side of diplomacy, and it's not really allowing you to make traction. And so because of that, I would really urge you when communicating with another person, a lot of the times the hard things that we have to communicate, the messages that we need to get across, it needs to be very direct, not confrontational, just very direct, very thoroughly explained, and gets to the point, okay? So don't skirt around issues. Don't try to smooth things over, sweep things under the rug when you are communicating, so that you can communicate your truth. And a lot of the times people might not be ready or willing to accept the truth, but we have to behave in a manner that is forthright, forthcoming, to yield the result that we're looking for. So this is going to extend not just work, but I do feel it's coming in strongly in the work environment, where you feel a little bit overpowered by somebody else's energies or by somebody else's ego. And as a result of that, I feel like you are you might like want to just blend into the environment. You might want to play the wallflower, and you might want to do things, everything just very by the book, and not want to, upset anybody. And so conflict is going to brew. And if this situation is not taken care of, where you become a lot more assertive and a lot more sure of what messages you're conveying, I do feel this is going to be problematic further down as we progress through 2017. So this is coming through authority figure in your midst that you have a hard time convincing, that you have a hard time dealing with, because their energy is very assertive and almost like borderline aggressive and just, controlling as well. Okay. So that's what I feel coming through, first of all. The second thing that is coming in is I do see a very, like a scattered energy with you. You have a lot of practical responsibilities that needs to be taken care of, okay? And this deals more with family, like practical responsibilities to partners, to children, to the work environment, going to the 9 to 5, taking care of your bills, like doing things that is socially acceptable, like social conformity, social engagements that you need to attend as well, because I feel like there will be a lot of social functions coming through. The weather is getting nicer here in the Northern Hemisphere. So I feel like, a lot of reunions, a lot of meeting up, and a lot of social engagements where it takes a really long time to get there as well. So your time is being diverted and is being scattered towards many, many people for this month. And especially for those who are single, I feel like there might be a little bit of a flake out energy with the people that you're dealing with. And it's also Mercury retrograde. So if you have agreed on a specific location, a specific time, a specific venue to meet up with somebody, I do feel like you're, expending a lot of energy finalizing plans, meeting up with people, and not having it pan out the exact way that you're hoping for. So there's a lot of time that is wasted, or time that you feel is lost, and you could have been better off doing something else, doing something productive. So try to minimize, where you are devoting your time and not scattering your energy. That's going to be very important for you. For some of you, you are dealing with a major house move as well. So you have practical responsibilities, finding a new location, finding out how to, move all of your things, like transferring your belongings or even transporting your belongings. So there's a lot of social functions. I feel like it takes a bit of time to meet up with another person. They might be at a distance from you, and you're working out the logistics, and then you might realize that, they're not where they're supposed to be. And so a lot of just time wasted. And on top of that, you have responsibilities piling up. Some of you are moving houses as well. And so draw back your energy. Don't scatter it far and wide. Draw back your energy and focus on the practical things that you need to take care of, okay? So, for example, don't say, oh, let's do this next week, let's do that next week, because people are going to take you at face value. So unless you mean it, unless you absolutely feel like, okay, energetically, I think I have enough energy to do that. I think I have enough time. So I'm just going to throw it out there. So don't do that. Okay. Finalize plans in a more thorough and in a more practical way. Okay. Otherwise, I feel like there's going to be a lot of chaos and a lot of mishaps in the social outing front where people are not where they're supposed to be. And you're not getting like, you might catch a little bit of criticism from their end. Okay. And I feel like you are very, very sensitive to criticism as well. So this energy, I feel like it's hovering around you. And so the best way to avoid it is, say what you mean and only commit to things when you absolutely know for a fact that you can follow through. So I would say, plan things a week out. And if something is a little bit far out of that time frame, like if it's like 2 or 3 weeks out or 2 or 3 months down the line, then you might need to tell them, let's get a rain check on that, okay? So minimize your social outings a little bit. You're stretching yourself really thin, feeling guilty, not wanting to upset other people by saying no. And so your sense of assertion as to what you want to do, what you don't want to do, I feel like you're eager to please or you want to please. And you're at a point where you're running yourself ragged trying to please everybody. And that is not a smart move, okay? So conserve your energy, conserve your time. You're going to be kind of like you're in high demand when it comes to social outings. And when it comes to your social circle as well, when it comes to dating for those who are single. But I feel like don't run yourself ragged trying to please everybody, okay? Be a little bit more methodical with your time. I see a little bit of a time crunch, but a lot of it has to do with just lack of organization and lack of time management. So that's where it's coming through. So don't scatter yourself too much, okay? In your work environment with the magician in the reverse position, this is feeling stuck, feeling stifled, feeling as if we're not able to make the traction in the career path that we're in. And so some of you are kind of like thinking about getting a raise. You feel like I have a lot of skills, I have a lot of assets that would make me a good employee. And so some of you are thinking about, making demands for either like a salary renegotiation, a salary increase, or even thinking about breaking out of your current job to branch off into a different sector, a different department, a different career path altogether. And some of you wanting to rise to a managerial or a supervisory position and feeling like your efforts might be thwarted because you want to do things by the book, but you feel like the people that are there, they're getting ahead based on their social contacts, by their professional contacts. So you feel like it's really hard for you to get your foot in the door if you're doing things by the book and not making traction. So you might feel like you're at a point where you want to compromise a little bit and, try to get on the inside circle of a specific organization or a specific professional contact because you feel like that's the only way for you to break through. So it's sort of like having to accommodate or having to having to rely on your professional contact. And you don't want to do that. You want to do things by the book. And you feel like other people that are going that route, doing favors for people, doing, things that they're not supposed to. And I guess like sucking up to superiors or even, different people from different department in order to get favors done. you're looking at it and you're just like, no, I'm not going to do that. And good for you, because I feel like it is the honorable thing to do. But you feel at the same time you're working really hard and you're not getting into, that managerial supervisory position. You're not getting added responsibilities and you're not getting that pay increase or even like that job title that you've been yearning for. And so some of you are feeling unappreciated on the work environment this month, and you feel also that your creativity might be stifled. And as a result of that, you are really aware of, putting more emphasis on your social circle, relying on your social circle, your friends and your family, in order to give you that self-esteem boost, in order to give you that validation. But I would say that, say what you need to say. If it's a salary negotiation that you're going for, I do feel this is a good, in April, we do have Mercury in retrograde. So I don't want to say like this is the ideal time, but I do feel if you've been working for a few months, thinking this way, feeling this way, possibly in the May timeframe, or even, for now, if you've been thinking about it for quite some time, it is a good time to ask for a salary raise, to be a little bit more assertive when it comes to your needs in a specific work environment, so that you can be happy, so that you feel appreciated and you feel that your contribution matters. Okay, if you were to do that, I do feel your employees or your employers, actually whoever you're working under, they will do their best to try to retain you. So a lot of it this month has to be with dealing with self-expression, what you need in order to feel content. And I also feel like it's coming through first in your relationship sector when it comes to like romantic relationships, work partnerships. If you're dealing with a partner who you can't see eye to eye with, and I feel like a business partner for some of you, there will be, a lot of negotiations, compromise that is coming through. But I feel like you might be the one doing all the compromise in the past, and the other person is not really budging. And so they're feeling almost smug, and they're feeling like they don't need to change because you're more flexible. And so as a result, you're doing all the accommodation and they're not really budging from their stance. Okay, this has been an issue in your relationship sector. And so that sense of being a lot more expressive and verbal about what you need, and to try to balance out the responsibilities and to be confrontational, even though you're shying away from it, is really urging you to be less conflict avoidant and to be a little bit more assertive when it comes to your emotional or even practical needs. Okay, so having said that, for the past 5 months, it was a lot of give and take in relationships and learning what that means and standing up for yourself, communicating your truth. And so now it's also coming across in your work sector, and it's very undeniable, right? Like if it's coming if the same energy is extending across work and across personal relationships, even across family, where you feel like you might be conflict avoidant, then I do sense it's coming through now for you to make this drastic change, for you to be a lot more clear-headed about your objectives, what you are trying to achieve, and how you're going to be able to verbalize what you need to achieve all of these things. So it's the same energy permeating across work, where you feel underappreciated, in your relationship sector, where you're trying to maintain the peace and not asking for what you need. And then in the career sector as well, feeling as if you deserve more, but not really taking the steps to ask for it. So this is it's a big month for you. And like periods usually brings up a lot of uncomfortable things that we have swept under the rug so that we can learn to deal with it. And so issues that are that pertain to communication, whether or not we have been honest, whether or not we have been truthful, whether or not we have been open and candid about something, how we communicate, how effective we are at conveying either literal concepts, abstract concepts, but more than anything, convey what we need. All of these things are being revisited for this month. And so you have quite a few major arcana cards. And I do sense this is going to be it's a momentous month in which communication with ourselves and other people, like being truthful about what we want and communicating in a very, very direct, frank manner, even though it might rub some people the wrong way. But in the end, we know that we can be proud that we spoke our truth. That's going to be very important, okay? With the Mercury in retrograde cycle as well, it is a very, very notorious time for lies to be uncovered, for people to, say a lie and then immediately karma coming back like right away, full circle. So be very, very careful about, what you are doing, and being very careful about what your intentions are. I feel like that's going to be really important for this month, okay? For all the signs, not just for you, but I do feel traveling, commuting, transportation overall. Don't go over the speed limit. Be very, very careful about what you are transporting. Making sure that, your vehicle is making sure you know where you're going. Be very extra attentive. I feel like you're very scattered. You're forgetful. You might leave, important items behind. And I also feel like you're scattering your time as well. So there's a little bit of a time crunch. So you're running around in a very fast manner. Just I want to mention here concerns your relationship sector. So here's what I'm feeling. There has been this up and down type of energy with you guys for the past 9 months. And I feel like, it came in with, first there's like money issues, and then there's also like relationships. And then after that, there's money issues. And now I feel like this is more like work issues. So I feel like for the past 9 months, it has been kind of up and down. There has been like very high highs, very, very low lows. And I feel like there has been a lot of anxiety for some of you, a lot of anxiety regarding a specific relationship. You want commitment, you want stability, you want commitment. The other person that you're involved with, so this is for those of you in stable relationships, the other person you're involved with wants commitment, wants stability, wants marriage, the whole 9 yards. So you both want the same things. There's very strong chemistry, but the both of you are like different people. There is a really strong chemistry, but almost zero compatibility. And you're trying to make things work. And I almost feel like in the process of catering to this person, you don't want to hurt them. They seem like a very good person, generally very straightforward, wear their heart on their sleeves. And for those of you who are dealing with this person, I feel like they want to rush you. They want the commitment. They want you to be very clear about your intentions. And so I feel like some of you are really not sure. You see the incompatibility, but you also see the attraction. And you also feel like this is a person that you really like, and you see all the good qualities in them, the reliability, the dependability. And so you're trying to make things work when your own life, I feel like all of these things in your life needs to stabilize first before this relationship can be seen in a realistic lens. Does that make sense? So the past 9 months, that series of ups and downs, it's basically telling you that there are some areas in your life where some of you need to be a little bit more, you need to chill out a little bit, which is the social outing. I feel like it's really cutting into your time for practical responsibilities. Running around and feeling a little bit frustrated and not having that sense of stability that you're looking for. And when your home environment is a little bit cluttered and messy, when you have like a million things that you're supposed to do in a day, you're not in the right frame of mind to hone in on your intuition. It's rare. Like, it happens for few people. They're able to manage it, and like a switch goes off and they can manage the abstract and the intuition and the practical responsibilities. But I feel like from your end, you're heavily affected by other people's energies. So they're telling you to narrow down, to pare down on what relationships are important, what needs fixing, and what can be left on the back burner for now. So don't put so much on your plate. Don't put so much on your plate that you don't have time for, and you're kind of like cutting corners with all your responsibilities. Okay, so be very, very careful about energetically where you're giving your energy away. And as well, I feel like there is a relationship here, and it's both parties want it to work very, very badly, but there's a lot of incompatibilities here. Okay? A lot of incompatibilities, cultural values, religious values, political values, even like personal family values are very, very different. And it seems like two people wanting the same things should be simple, right? But there's a lot of lack of compatibility. And I feel like a lot of you might be the one that's compromising, compromising, compromising. And then this relationship doesn't even resemble a union anymore. It just seems like it's all about the other person. And so I feel like a lot of you, your light is dimming, your sense of purpose, your own truths, your own values. It's being overshadowed by this relationship. And I feel like in the work environment too, your sense of ethics, your sense of, what's the smart thing to do, what's the right thing to do, what's the most productive thing to do, is overshadowed by somebody else who has a big ego, and you don't want to confront them. And so I feel like there's a lot of like conflict avoidance here, wanting to smooth things out, wanting to be almost like blend into the background so that you're not to dodge confrontation. And the longer you do that, the more anxious you become. So try to take care of those things, okay? Stand up for what you believe. Really stand up for what you believe. And starting out, not getting aggressive. But I feel like if you swept it under the rug for quite some time, it might come out as anger. So you want to be smart about this and like have a game plan. Have a game plan as to how you can approach this topic, how you can convince the other person to come to your side of things so that they also see it as being in their best interest as well. So that means doing a little bit more digging, and that means doing a little bit more research, gathering data from your end so that you can present something in a very coherent way. Okay? So that's what I feel coming through for you guys. It's a little bit of a heavy energy. We had a lot of major arcana cards. And a lot of it is also in the reverse position. So major arcana cards, especially with this card here, it's forcing us to confront things that we have swept under the rug. And a lot of it has to deal with self-assertion for this month. Okay, communication, self-assertion. Asserting yourself in a way that is not obnoxious, but more in alignment with stating what you need in order to get things moving the way that you want. Okay, so let me see what's coming. Cancers. There's something that you're trying to say and you're trying to hold back. And it feels to me as if some of you, and this is a very common, when we love somebody quite a bit, like this is very common. It's almost like you want to say something and you're afraid of hurting the other person's feelings, right? And then you wanting to do something and you feel like, no, that's not in the best interest of the other person. So then you decide unilaterally to do one course of action. And the important thing here is that you have to run the idea by your partner so that, or whoever it is. So if it's an ex and you feel like you want to get back together, and you're just like, oh no, I'm not good enough for him, or I'm not good enough for her, or oh, we already broke up, so they have moved on, and I'm not going to inconvenience them. I feel like inconvenience is something that you feel like you're not capable. You feel like there's a self-esteem thing as well, where you feel like you're inconveniencing somebody. But the thing is, you're deciding all of this without knowing what their intentions are, without knowing what ideas they have. And so it's really important to speak our truth, and it's really important to not make a decision unilaterally, but, agree to come to a consensus with another person, where two people meet each other halfway, or two people have very important conversations. So I feel like a lot of things have been swept under the rug, not confronted head on. And I do feel this is a card indicating a little bit of fear as well. Fearing that the other person is going to ridicule us or laugh at us. Fearing that the other person will see us in a different light. So I do sense, because of that, about you're very hesitant about expressing yourself. Okay? So just express yourself, Cancers. Just express yourself, okay? You've got some really good cards here. Very, very positive cards. I'm going to pull out one more. Really positive card. This is probably the most positive love reading for, I've done, you're the 7th one that I've done. So this is really positive. Okay, so let me just say this. I'm sensing that for some of you, just to get this out the way, because the rest of it looks really good. We have some legal issues here, dividing assets between two people, child custody issues. Some of you are going through this, and you are getting very frustrated, and you feel almost this sense of injustice. You feel almost as if you want to say a lot, and you want to confront the other person, but you don't want the animosity to affect the proceeding. And you don't want things to turn nasty. You don't want things to descend into chaos. You're trying really hard to hold your tongue in a situation. So you're trying your very hardest not to confront another person and, have the situation go to hell. So I do sense there's a lot of holding back energy here, okay? We have here the Justice card. So this is legal issues, right? And we have as well the 7 of Coins, dividing up assets, things accumulated over time, and trying to figure out how to go forward. Who gets what? Who gets the car? Who gets the house? Who gets the kids? How many days? So a negotiation is happening when it comes to dividing assets. And then for others of you, though, the relationship itself is also incredibly balanced. And I feel like if you are on the tail end of a divorce, it's going to happen. The divorce is going to be fine. You will get what's due to you. And we have a new person that's coming into the picture here. We have an air sign, an Aquarius, a Gemini, or a Libra. And this is somebody very intelligent, okay? Really sharp, very intelligent. And I feel like, they can use the process of deduction to immediately understand what you need, to know how to talk to you, to know how to approach you, to know how to problem solve, and know how to help you. And this is somebody who is, he or she, so I have an air sign, Aquarius, Gemini, Libra. He or she is very emotionally detached, and you might feel like, oh, I don't know if they like me. I don't know if, how they feel about me. So you're playing that guessing game. And they're telling you to take the first step and they'll meet you there. Okay, so they're telling you don't fear somebody who is like this, because you're used to dating somebody, or you might have been married to somebody who was very emotional, and it was thrilling, exciting, very emotional. And I feel like this is somebody that is outside of your norm a little bit, who's very rational, who's seems a little bit cool and aloof. But I feel like this is a better match for you, because they can intuitively sense as well what you need, and they can teach you to be a lot more honest with your needs, honest with your feelings, and to be a lot more verbal and emotionally expressive. This person, I feel, is somebody who is different from you, ethnically, culturally, linguistically, politically. They are very different, and I'm getting like a foreign, they're saying like foreigner. So with the World card, it usually denotes a situation where we feel like, oh, we haven't really ventured out. We want to venture out a little bit more. So you're dealing with someone who is like this, or you yourself are like this, and you're trying to turn over a new leaf and have a little bit more fun and excitement in your own life. And I do sense there's almost this psychic connection, and also this sense of like a very strong soul connection with another person here, with this high priestess. The person that you're dealing with, I see an air sign, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. Somebody who's very smart. They can give you a lot of insights. They can give you a lot of ideas. There's also going to be possibly trips, plans taken with them. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing for those who are single, especially for those who are single and have recently gotten out of a divorce situation. You have a solid partner that's coming through. And let me talk about the past, because I feel like some of you are still dealing with this. We have here an earth sign. So this is a Queen of Pentacles, Queen of Coins, Queen of Pentacles. So a Taurus, a Virgo, or a Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising, and this is a male or female. This is somebody that you've had a very, very significant long-term relationship with. And I also see children between the two of you. Having children, feeling very emotionally just grounded, cared for, taken care of in the relationship. And feeling really good. So I feel like some of you might still be dealing with this person. And you're trying to take things to the next level here with this earth sign. And I do sense some of you, if you've been together and you have children, you might be thinking about going your separate ways. However, I'm sensing that the other person might be wanting more financial assets in that settlement. So you're trying to find a way to do things so that it's appropriate, so that it's fair for both partners. Which brings us to the present moment. We have here the Wheel of Fortune. And the Wheel of Fortune shows up in the reverse, as well as the Ace of Coins. And this is the beginning of a stable relationship. And so what it's saying here, and I'm seeing like it's a very, very good reading overall for new relationships, and especially taking existing relationships to the next level. Okay? So I feel like some of you are at a point where you want more of a commitment, but your financial situation is not stable enough, and you might want the home. You might want to settle down. You might see a lot of reciprocity in the relationship. You might want to settle down and, start building a foundation with another person. And so it's coming through where you are seriously thinking about long-term commitment, proposing to somebody, giving somebody, your hand in marriage, or asking for their hand in marriage. But your financial situation is going to turn around. And I do see a lot of new contracts, new jobs for you guys. And so your financial situation is going to stabilize. Breakthrough in the relationship where you are taking the relationship to the next level. So I have here an earth sign, an existing earth sign for many of you, a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. And I feel like you feel this is the one, and you feel that this is the person that you want to really be with, okay? There are a few challenges in the road, mainly because I'm seeing there's a lot of attraction, sexual compatibility actually, but I feel like verbally, the way that you both communicate, it's like night and day. It's like two people wanting to work together, but it's a little bit challenging. And so they're telling you to be a lot more expressive, because I feel like the person that you're dealing with, they're not verbally expressive, right? It seems like that. They take care of you. They might cook, they might clean.